Another night, another pointless attempt to move on. The restaurant was the kind of place my late wife, Sarah, would have loved: soft lighting, quiet conversations, the clink of expensive silverware. To me, it just felt like a museum full of ghosts. Every laughing couple was a punch to the gut. 3 years since I lost her. It feels like a lifetime and no time at all. My assistant, bless her persistent heart, insisted on this blind date. "It's time, Mark," she'd said. "Lily needs to see you happy again." But happy felt like a foreign language I'd completely forgotten. Across from me, a woman named Amelia smiled nervously. She had kind eyes, but I wasn't letting them in. I'd built a fortress around my heart, and the walls were 1,000 feet high. I checked my gold watch for what felt like the 100th time. 9:15 p.m. I'd given it 45 minutes. More than enough. My 7-year-old daughter, Lily, sat beside me, drawing on a napkin with a crayon. Bringing her was my escape plan. It could always use the "it's past her bedtime" excuse. I put my napkin on the table, a white flag of surrender. "All right, that's it. Time to go. I'll be polite. It was a pleasure, but this isn't for me. Simple. Clean." I started to push my chair back, already turning towards the door, my mind halfway back to the quiet of my office. I cleared my throat to deliver the line that would end this whole charade. But before I could get a word out, a small voice cut right through my resolve. "But Daddy." I paused. Lily was looking up at me, her wide, blue eyes filled with that pure, unfiltered sincerity that always disarmed me. She gestured with her crayon toward the woman across the table. "But Daddy, she's nice." Four simple words stopped me cold. Nice. It was such a simple word. Not beautiful, or rich, or successful, all the hollow adjectives my world revolved around. Just, nice. I froze, my hand hovering over the back of my chair. The restaurant faded to a dull hum. I looked from my daughter's earnest face to Amelia, who was now looking down at her hands, a flicker of disappointment on her face. She'd sensed I was about to bolt. And for the first time all night, I really saw her. Not as a blind date. Not as a replacement. But as a person Lily had judged to be nice. And in my daughter's world, there was no higher compliment. I slowly, reluctantly, sat back down. The fortress around my heart hadn't crumbled, but sliding back into the chair was awkward. The momentum of my planned escape was gone, replaced by a heavy silence. Amelia looked up, a question in her eyes, but she was too polite to ask. "I'm sorry," I mumbled, offering no real explanation. "Long week." "I understand," she replied softly. She didn't press. Instead, she turned her attention to Lily. "And who is this talented artist?" Lily, who was usually shy with strangers, absolutely beamed. "I'm Lily. And this is Barnaby the bear," she said, holding up the napkin, which now had a lopsided, purple bear on it. "Barnaby is a very handsome bear, Lily," Amelia said with a genuine smile. "Does he like adventures?" For the next 10 minutes, I was just a spectator. Amelia and Lily dove into an imaginative world of talking bears and magical forests. Amelia didn't talk down to her, she talked with her, asking about Barnaby's favorite food, honey-covered pancakes, and his best friend, a squirrel named Squeaky. I just watched them, a strange feeling twisting in my gut. Sarah had been like that. Effortlessly kind, able to connect with anyone, especially kids. She saw magic in the mundane, something I'd lost sight of a long time ago. After the accident, my world became grayscale, boardrooms, stock prices, and lonely nights in a house that was way too big and quiet. I threw myself into work because numbers don't feel and balance sheets don't grieve. I'd given Lily everything money could buy, the best schools, fancy clothes, nannies for her every need. But I couldn't give her the one thing she really needed, a father who wasn't just a walking ghost. Seeing Amelia with her now, seeing Lily's face light up with a joy I hadn't sparked in years, it felt like a shard of glass in my chest. A painful reminder of my own failure. "Your daughter is wonderful," Amelia said, turning her gentle gaze back to me. There wasn't a hint of the pity I usually saw in people's eyes. "She takes after her mother," I said, the words coming out colder than I meant them to. It was a defense mechanism, a wall to keep the conversation from getting too personal, from treading on the sacred ground of Sarah's memory. Amelia just nodded. "My name's Amelia, by the way. Though I think Lily already knows that." She gave my daughter a little wink. "Mark," I replied, my tone clipped. We fell into that predictable first date rhythm. I learned she was an elementary school art teacher, which explained her natural rapport with Lily. She spoke about her students with a warmth that felt totally foreign in my world of hostile takeovers. I listened, but I wasn't really hearing. My mind was drifting, calculating. I was still plotting my escape, just with less conviction now. Every time I glanced at my watch, I'd catch Lily's eye, and she'd give me this tiny, hopeful smile. A silent plea. "Just try, Daddy." So, I tried. I asked about her work, her hobbies, all the things you're supposed to ask. But the questions were hollow. I was just playing the part of a man. On a date, and my heart wasn't in it. Section 2, the unexpected connection. The evening was teetering on the edge of polite boredom when a tall, thin waiter with a practiced sneer made his way to our table. He'd been circling us like a shark, his disapproval of Lily's crayon mess practically radiating off him. "Will there be anything else, sir?" he asked, his eyes locked on me, pointedly ignoring Amelia. He then glanced at the napkins scattered on the table. "Or shall I clear away this clutter?" Clutter. The word hung in the air, sharp and ugly. I saw Lily's face fall. She started gathering her drawings with her small hands, her shoulders slumping. Before I could even think, Amelia placed a gentle hand over Lily's. "Actually," Amelia said, her voice calm but firm, "we were just admiring my friend Lily's artwork. She's going to be a very famous artist one day, and these early pieces will be worth a fortune. We'd like to keep them." The waiter blinked, taken aback. He smirked, looking from her simple dress to my bespoke suit. "Of course. The art." He started to turn away. But something in me just snapped. The sight of Lily's crushed expression, the echo of Sarah's fierce protectiveness, and the simple kindness Amelia had just shown. The CEO who could get a rival in a boardroom suddenly found his voice for a different kind of fight. "Excuse me," I said. My voice was low, dangerously quiet. The waiter stopped. "What's your name?" "Antoine," he replied, dripping with fake deference. "Well, Antoine, you never, ever refer to a child's creation as clutter. Especially not in my presence. This little girl's drawings have more soul than you've shown all night. Now, apologize to her." The restaurant went silent. Antoine's face turned crimson. He looked at me, then Amelia, and finally at the small girl staring at him with wounded eyes. I apologize," he stammered. "Not to me," I said, nodding toward my daughter. He bent down slightly. "I am sorry, miss," he mumbled to Lily. Lily just clutched her drawing of Barnaby and nodded. With one last withering glare from me, the waiter practically fled. A smattering of applause broke out from a nearby table. Amelia looked at me, surprised, as if she was seeing a different man from the cold CEO who'd been sitting there just minutes before. "Thank you," she said quietly. "But I could have handled it." "I know," I replied, and for the first time, I actually meant it. But he hurt her feelings. No one gets to do that. In that moment, I realized that protecting my daughter felt more important than closing any billion-dollar deal. The confrontation changed everything. The tension was gone, replaced by a shared experience. We ordered dessert, and the conversation that followed was different. It was real. It must be hard, Amelia said softly, watching Lily eat frosting off her cake. Doing it all on your own. I braced for the usual pity, but it never came. My older brother passed away 5 years ago, she continued, her eyes a little distant. He left behind 2 kids. I see my sister-in-law, how strong she is, but I also see how tired she is. People always call her a superhero. But sometimes, superheroes just want a day off, you know. Her words hit me like a punch to the chest. She wasn't pitying me. She was understanding me. For 3 years, people had either walked on eggshells around me or offered empty platitudes. But Amelia, she just got it. She saw the exhaustion under the surface. My wife, Sarah. I started, the name feeling strange to say to someone new. She was the heart of our family. When she was gone, I thought if I could just control everything, the house, my business, I could control the grief. Build a life so perfect it wouldn't have room for pain. I looked down at my hands. But the pain is still there. It just lives in the quiet. In the silence of the car after I drop Lily at school. In the other side of the bed. I've been so focused on managing the loss, I think I forgot how to live. It was the most I'd said to anyone about my feelings in years. A confession to a woman I barely knew. Amelia didn't say anything. She just listened. And in her silence, I didn't feel judged. I felt seen. Section 3, the path to healing. The rest of the evening passed in a blur of real conversation. We talked about her classroom. I told her about Lily's obsession with space. We laughed. A real, unrestrained laugh that felt like stretching a muscle I hadn't used in years. When it was finally time to go, it felt different. There was no urgency, no escape. Lily was half asleep, a smudge of chocolate on her cheek. I gently scooped her into my arms. Outside, the night air was cool. I have to admit, I said to Amelia, I was ready to walk out tonight. I'm not very good at this. No one is, she said with a small smile. It's not a skill, it's a leap of faith. She looked at the sleeping child in my arms. But it looks like you have a pretty great co-pilot. She reached out and gently tucked a stray piece of hair behind Lily's ear. It was such a simple, warm gesture it made my heart ache. Thank you, Amelia, I said. For everything. For being nice. You already have my number, she said, her smile widening. Maybe you could use it sometime. With a final wave, she turned and disappeared into the city night. The drive home was quiet. I glanced at Lily in the rearview mirror. She was smiling in her sleep. That smile was a verdict. I'd spent 3 years building walls to keep the world out, thinking strength was about being impenetrable. But tonight, I learned that maybe true strength is having the courage to be vulnerable. Maybe healing isn't about forgetting, but about making room for something new. Back in our large, silent house, I tucked Lily into bed. Downstairs, in my study, a silver frame sat on my desk next to stacks of financial reports. It was my favorite photo of Sarah, laughing, her eyes sparkling with life. For 3 years, looking at this photo brought a wave of unbearable grief. But tonight, something was different. I picked up the frame. The grief was still there, a quiet hum beneath the surface. But it was joined by something else. A glimmer of hope. A feeling not of betrayal, but of permission. I smiled. A small, sad, but genuine smile. She's nice, Sarah, I whispered into the quiet of the room. Lily thinks so, anyway. Mark Cole, the powerful CEO, was ready to walk away, convinced his story was over. But he learned the most important lesson not in a boardroom, but at a small table in a quiet restaurant. He learned that a heart can only heal if you're brave enough to let someone in. This wasn't just a story of a CEO finding love, but of a father finding life again, all because his daughter, in her innocent wisdom, reminded him to look for the people who are nice. So, what do you think? Can a child's honesty truly change everything? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Mark learned that a closed heart can't truly heal. He thought moving on meant replacing what he'd lost, but he came to understand that it was about adding to the love that was already there. His daughter didn't just save a blind date, she saved her father from a lifetime of loneliness, proving that sometimes the smallest voices carry the most powerful truths.